Hello, TCI, Jonathan's Refuge, all of our faithful followers. I actually know that this is actually going to get broadcast also on our other YouTube channel, The Dead Man Walking. So Ty is going to start that, minus the opening part to our church that I'm saying hello to everybody. So, howdy. Thank you all for coming to watch this tonight. I'm going to talk about something that I learned to deal with on the Pacific Crest Trail. For those that don't know, I was attempting to walk from Mexico to Canada on the thing called the Pacific Crest Trail, and I made 77 miles on the trail over a period of 10 days. And then my heart, unfortunately, from day one was running over 250 over 140. When you have blood pressures 250 over 140, they call it the silent widowmaker because you don't even know it, but then you're going to stroke out. And it's the scariest thing because you're just fine. You're perfectly fine. You're walking, you're talking, everything's great. And then you just have a massive stroke and it's not great. And it's deadly and it's damaging. And it took me years and I still don't have all my functions back. So we decided to get my heart in tune up here at my doctor's. So I flew back up. I was evac'd out. I had to get out of Idlewild, California, when the fire department there found my blood pressures to be accurately high. And I had a blood pressure cuff with me, so I was worried that my machine was just being ornery. But it ended up being bad, so we chose to come up, rest my feet, because my right foot is completely jacked up until I can get my orthotics, which still don't come for another 2 weeks. And then I'm going to be starting from the Canadian border headed south on Monday. So I start to continue my track of the 2,650 miles. I'm just flipping my track around. You're jumping out of one frying pan and into another. Down in the south on the border in the desert, the Mojave, you're dealing with 100 degrees plus the amount of heat coming off of the granite rock everywhere. So, you're baking in 100, 110, 115, 105 degrees, it seems like, with the sun beating down on you. And you got to carry sometimes water for up to 36 miles, which is a massive amount of water carry. So when you get out there, sometimes your head can mess with you. And you can get so dark and depressed fast because there's no one around to cheer you up. There's no one around to even talk to. There's no one around to complain to. There's no one around to celebrate with. There's nothing. It's just you. And I found the correlation between, I did 4 months in the hole when I was in prison. And I remember how tough that was. You part of you lose a part of your mind. You go a little crazy. The trail is the same way in some respects. You're free. Yeah, you can turn around at any time. You can choose to get to a trailhead, hike out 10, 15, 20 miles and be at a place where there's cars and you can hitch a ride to town. So yes, at any given day, respectively, you can walk away from the trail within a couple days by just packing up and walking out. But you started with the mission. And so now you're in your head and man, is that a scary place to be? You're like, oh no, it's my head because we're our own worst enemy. We are our own worst enemy. I know people who all the time tell me what's going to happen. They're like, oh, I know what's going to happen tomorrow in court. You do? Then why are you going? Well, by law, I have to go. Well, don't go if you already know the outcome. They're like, well, it's not official. I mean, I just think. Okay, well, stop thinking. The fact that you're thinking a negative thought is not a good thing. We don't want to put out a vibration of negativity. And I know some people say, well, yeah, JB, that's that, hoo-boo, weeby, GB stuff, the feel good stuff. Let me tell you something. That feel good shit is true and it works. I have spoken to people and spoken positively into their life. And then I have asked them to not think the negative thoughts, stay focused on the positive, and let's see what happens. And then the outcomes, they automatically seem to change. Now, you could say that's just magical. It's not. People want to be around positive people. People want to see positive people succeed. The universe is a thing, beautiful thing. You want to call it God, the universe, and call it what you want. We reap what we sow. So when we put out in the universe to God goodness, kindness, generosity, it comes back to us. I was on this trail and I'm at death's door. Forget I got the, Grim Reaper knocking. They got a big, huge paddy wagon following behind me the whole time, just waiting for me to kick the bucket. Okay. That's how it felt. And in my ears, I could just hear the depression setting in and the same kind of voices I would hear in prison. And I was like, wow, how fast we can talk ourselves into something. And then also, how fast can we talk ourselves out of something? And so you guys know me. When I start something, I complete it. I don't know how to fail. I do not know the MO, the method of operation for failure. I know the MO for success. I know what that takes. I've got that blueprint down in my life. What I don't have down is the blueprint to fail. So when I hit a mountain and I can't overcome it, like the desert, I couldn't overcome it. I was very depressed because I was thinking, oh my God, this is it. This heart is going to stop me. I can't physically go without my heart. I will die. So this is gonna kill me. And I'm just one of those guys that I'm not gonna quit. And so it was so hard that night. And I remember my wife and me, and she was trying to comfort me and bring me, hey, honey, you can do sections and you can come back next year. And I'm like, that shush, I don't want to hear it. And she was being so kind. But what it did was it got my mind to think of different options. And I'm thinking, okay, I don't want to come back next year. Next year, I want to go do the Appalachian Trail and do the AT. So I got to get this done this year. So let's go. And that's when it hit me. Wait a second. What do I tell people? If you got a mountain and you can't climb it, go around it. If you can't go around it, go over it. If you can't go over it, go through it, tunnel through it, blow it up. Figure a way to get around the obstacle is the key in that whole scenario. And that's what I did. Is I found another solution. I could go up north. I'll be fighting the passes not being open because the northbound people that are heading southbound, they're called Sobos. Sobo hikers, southbound hikers, don't start until July. Usually July 9th to 15th is the start week that everyone goes. I'm looking at leaving on Monday. So I am way ahead of the start. There's nobody on the trail right now. That means I'm going to be clunking through snow, falling through post holing in snow. A lot of fun things. Not really. A lot of horrible things. Wet, damp, rain, snow still in the mountains. So I'm not going to be burning up hot. I'm going to be soaked and wet. So you're flipping from the heat in the Mojave Desert to this cold and again, one frying pan into another frying pan. So the question is, will it allow my heart to calm down, to be under a little cooler temperatures as I walk down throughout Washington and Oregon? I think it might, and we'll see. But I don't quit. I just keep putting one foot in front of the other. And sometimes you have to create a new game plan. Sometimes you have to adjust your course. I had to adjust my course. You guys have heard me say this 1,000 times. If you get on a boat and you set your course, and you aim for England, London to be exact, and you're going to London, England on your boat from New York, from Manhattan, New York, and you leave that point of Manhattan, right, that southern tip, and you head off. You've programmed your course, except you're off by just 2 degrees. Do you know where you're going to end up? In France. That's not even in the same vicinity. Okay? You're going to end up in France, not England, because you're only off by a couple degrees. So you have to always take course adjustments. I've always said this. Watch your course, check your course, check your readings all the time. I check my readings throughout the day when I'm on the trail. Just because I think I know where I'm going, just because I've studied it so many times, and just because I've even climbed or gone on that trail multiple times, I still take readings because it's a great habit to be in. You need to take a reading in your life, in your spiritual life, in your physical life. Take a reading of where you're at, who you are, and what you're doing right now, and make sure you're on course. And so I had to do that down in Southern California in the woods with my wife by my side via phone, between the satellite phone and the time when I had receptions. We're trying to coordinate all this stuff with my health and with all that was going on. And I was able to make a course adjustment, and I was able to continue the journey, just have to switch it around, try another angle. And someone says, well, what if the passes are too full? Then that's fine. I will have my wife pick my keister up. I will have her drive me down to Oregon, and we'll start at the Oregon border because it's no snow down there right now. It's barely anything. So, I mean, a worst case scenario, I'll go Oregon up to the Canadian border and then go back down and finish California. I will not stop. I will accomplish my tasks because, again, I don't have an MO of failure in my vocabulary. Do you have the MO, the method of operation saved in your data bank for how to fail? You need to really think about that. Some of the things that we do for failure is we start talking smack to ourselves. We start saying nothing's going to happen. It's all going to fall apart. My DOC officer won't support this. The parole board's not going to let me out. The bank's not going to approve the loan. The employer is not going to give me my promotion. The girl's not going to accept my request to go on a date. We literally can talk ourselves out of anything. And that's part of the MO for people who fail. Because I've asked people who have failed, I've studied them enough, not too much. I just want to know a little. And one of the first things you'll notice about people who fail a lot in life is that they're always talking crap about everything. Their life sucks. The world sucks. Nothing good comes to people. And that's where you got to start. And you start by you don't even need to be Mr. Positive like me and my wife, okay? You don't need to be like that. You just need to sometimes close it up and just don't speak the negative stuff. The fact that we're going to think it throughout our day because you're like, oh, God, I know the bank's not going to approve my loan. Just stop. Do you know how many times I've said the bank is going to approve my loan and then they didn't approve it? It's happened many times. But what's interesting is the times that I actually got approved were more than most. And it's not just because of wishful thinking. It's a successful model. When you start to read people who are successful and you pick up a book and you study them, my entire staff, all of my entire staff are required to go through training each week on leadership. I personally teach the lessons myself. I personally oversee the entire segment of it. It is one of the most important things that my wife and me do in our corporation to help build our future is by building our people. And one of them even said to me, they've changed their career path. They were going to be heading to become a medical doctor when I first met them and they first came on board at our firm. Now they're like, well, this ain't going to work for me because of other reasons. And I'm like, wow, how did you come to this conclusion? They're now thinking about doing more stuff in the mental health area. And their answer was, you had me read that book. So you read books by people who are successful and you start to get certain patterns that you can say, I like that one. Let me take that tidbit, put that into my vocabulary. Let me grab that piece of advice and let me take that. And so over the years of studying people who are professional and successful, you start to find these certain consistent things. And the first is always a positive attitude. If you can't have a positive attitude, you just throw in the towel. You're the loser and you're the guy and gal that everyone in the world's going to look at and say, there's your example of what a loser is. That's a fact. Or you choose to not be that negative Nancy, that negative, I always say Nancy. I shouldn't say that because someone's going to get mad at me whose name is Nancy. If your name's Nancy, I'm sorry. But that negative person, don't be them. Stay positive, even when it's hard to be positive. I sometimes have to just rely on someone else. So there was this moment and I was like, oh, what do I do? And I just knew if I called my wife, she'd be able to talk. So I called her and I said something enough to make her know I was a little depressed. And she's like, oh, life's so good and life's so amazing. And yeah. So I'm like, oh my God. Okay. Oh, okay. Whoa, slow down. That was overkill. All right. I'm good. But she pumped me up with positive outlooks on life, reminding me of all the good that I have, reminding me that the fact that I'm still alive and I'm not dead yet. And even though my blood pressure is 250 over 140, we got a chance, right? And she was right. I just had to take a second and find the solution. And so you got to take that moment, take that breath, center your heart, be in a position to receive that voice from God, your inner spirit. And you hear this on the trail a lot in the mountains. Trust your gut, trust your legs. In the hiking world, we call it, you get your hiker legs. Trust them. They're good. They'll tell you when you can go 20 miles, 30 miles, but they'll also let you know when you can only do 10 or 15. Trust your gut. Trust your spiritual legs. Trust your business legs. And you say, but JB, I've never been in those places before. Then you need to make sure you have a mentor, someone like myself, someone in the church, one of the bishops, one of the elders, somebody who's part of your life to give you the lessons and the know-how to accomplish the path that you want to walk. So as I close up, I just want you to think this week about that. Just remember that we all deal with depression. I dealt with depression in prison for 4 months in that hole. I kind of lost my. You lose your mind a little. Some say you never recuperate it. You do. I've had a lot of post traumatic stress syndrome lately with it. The trail. It's amazing. 10 days on the trail and 77 miles and the isolation and the rattlesnakes just nonstop. And something's trying to kill you every day. And if it isn't the heat trying to kill you, there's no water. And if it isn't no water, you got to carry extra water to get to the next water source. And the weight's crushing your ankles and your feet and your body's just pounding. It feels like somebody took a hammer, is just beating your foot up. And you say, well, then why would you do that? And my answer is staring at me right now at Jonathan's Refuge. You see, Jonathan's Refuge is a home of hope. And my wife and me, we value that. And we know that there are a lot of men out there that need a home of hope and they want a place of rest. And they can get that with us. And so because of that, it's important that I continue this journey and continue to raise the funds for the next Jonathan's Refuge, the $1 million that we're doing. And if you're in your heart saying, man, I love this cause, I love this guy, I love this vision, I love this organization, then stop thinking and start doing and say, how can I participate? Hey, guys, we're a 501c3 nonprofit, federally recognized, state recognized, and federal. It's 100% tax write-off to you. Help us come up with the $400,000 for the $1 million property. We need about $400,000 for the loan to be secured. The company, we can handle a $25,000 or less mortgage on a monthly basis. We got that handled with no problem. What we need is the down payment, about $400,000. So that's what we're walking across America to do. And we're trying to show people, hopefully, some paths and some lessons that have worked for us, and maybe they'll work for you. We love you guys. When you're out there and you're getting stuck in your head and you're trying to figure it all out, just remember, not only can you be your worst enemy, but you can also be your greatest ally. And let's work on the ally part. Let's stay positive. Let's stay focused in a good manner. Let's not allow things to upset us and control us. The second something upsets you, they own you. My guys are very educated in this field. We don't let people own us, not at Jonathan's Refuge. We don't let the government, the politicians, the presidents, we don't let any of those politics. We don't allow cancers, diseases, death sentences. We don't allow prison sentences, parole sentences. We allow nothing to control us. Okay, my wife's whispering right now. She says, but the freeway traffic still controls you. She's right. That's why I don't drive that much anymore. I let her drive. And then that way I'm not technically going to have to get angry at people. I can just close my eyes and keep my mouth shut. So I love you guys. Stay focused on what we know. We know if we stay positive, we hang out with positive people, and if we study successful people, we will find answers and God will speak to you. He'll tell you. He'll tell you when it's time to shut your mouth, and he'll tell you when it's time to open your mouth. I promise you, she will talk to you. I love you guys. God bless. We'll see you out on the trail. I know I'm home, but I'm not really home, so I'm just resting. I would love to see everybody, but I appreciate you allowing my body to heal and be healthy. And I want to thank you all for allowing my wife to be free to be with me this week while I'm recuperating at the house here. I love you guys. Take care. God bless.